Al término de Periodismo para Todos, comenzamos un nuevo especial de Resto del Mundo en nuestra 12ª temporada. Hoy vamos a viajar a la capital del rock británico, y es la primera vez que visitamos esta ciudad con Resto del Mundo. Estoy hablando de Manchester, Inglaterra, cuna de bandas como The Smiths, Joy Division, New Order, Oasis y muchas más. Aquí conoceremos los lugares más emblemáticos de la escena musical inglesa. Esto es Manchester. Excelentes museos, buena cerveza, increíble arquitectura llena de puentes históricos y mucho rock en este especial de Resto del Mundo desde el norte de Inglaterra. Comencemos. Así empieza el viaje. Manchester, con una población estimada de un poco más de 2.5 millones de habitantes, es la segunda aglomeración urbana del Reino Unido en términos de población. Manchester es un importante centro artístico, financiero, de medios de comunicación y de educación superior. Un informe publicado en el año 2007 mostró a Manchester como la ciudad con más rápido crecimiento económico en la región. Es sede de dos equipos de fútbol de la Premier League, el Manchester United y el Manchester City. Manchester fue la primera ciudad industrializada del mundo y desempeñó un papel central durante la Revolución Industrial. Se convirtió en el principal centro internacional de la fabricación textil y de hilado de algodón. Ahora me voy a encontrar con John, un guía local que conoce mejor que nadie los rincones imperdibles de esta ciudad.
Hey John.
Hi, Ivan. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Fantastic, thank you.
What do we have here?
This is Manchester Town Hall. This tells a story of Manchester from the top to the bottom. So on the very, very top, we've got the representation of a golden cotton bud, which is where the wealth of Manchester came from. In gold, obviously, because of the wealth that was created. So Manchester's the first industrial city in the world. So railways, canals, industrialisation, steam power. And the coal was the fuel of the Industrial Revolution. So coal came into Manchester via the canals and then hence transformed the world. And this is a world that we're still living through at the moment. Wow. So Manchester led the world. This is the 1870s, so this is Manchester in its pomp. This is Manchester, it's already made it. What better way to announce your arrival on the world stage than to put up a building like this? Manchester was very late becoming a city. When it became a city, the new council wanted to announce their arrival. What better way? Put up this amazing building.
Elegí a John entre todos los guías que hay en Manchester, no solo porque sabe muchísimo de la historia y cultura de esta ciudad, sino que además tiene una ventaja sobre los demás. Te lleva de un lado a otro en un clásico taxi inglés. Una experiencia diferente. La próxima parada en este recorrido es la biblioteca universitaria John Rylands.
This is spectacular, isn't it? So Manchester is a great tradition of education, but it was the working people that were trying to be educated to give them a better life. And John Ryland's division there comes from philanthropy.
Then we have all these
the statues, yeah, and the stained glass windows at each end. So we've got the scribes and the saints.
Let's keep walking, John.
Yeah.
Esta es una de las bibliotecas más grandes del Reino Unido, que además tiene especial fama por contener el fragmento original más antiguo del Nuevo Testamento, llamado también el Fragmento de San Juan.
This is the Georgian Square, so the 1720s. Yeah. So this is Lady Anne Bland, St Anne's Church. This was named after. This was founded by Lady Anne Bland, who didn't agree with the sermons that were being preached at the parish church. Okay. So she decided to form her own church.
Ahora vamos a conocer uno de los rincones de Manchester donde se esconden vestigios de la época medieval.
We changed completely the scenery of.
Yeah. So we've gone from Georgian into medieval. So these are the original medieval buildings. Now pubs. But can you imagine all Manchester being like this with the little black and white buildings?
It's beautiful.
It just gives you that sense of history and the sense of how the city's developed as well, doesn't it?
This is 14th century, 15th century?
Yeah, 14th, 15th century, yeah. How fantastic, isn't it? To have them still here,
so
the original buildings. They've been moved around a little bit and made up to the modern day accessibility standards.
right, John. First of all, what's the purpose of this
This is
bag?
a little Mancunian gift to you.
Okay.
Okay, because we're going to go for a little swim.
What do you mean a little swim? Where?
Well, a little swim in this area that we're in now. This is the old Manchester dock area.
Okay.
So on every Wednesday and every Saturday they have an open water swim.
Open water swim. So that means that gives Manchester this kind of like a sporty, edgy, modern look.
Urban. It's
Yeah, urban,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. But now I think it is time for you, my friend, to...
For us.
Okay, wetsuit, come on.
Te recuerdo que el Twitter oficial del programa es @Resto del Mundo 13. Seguinos ahora mismo en Twitter y envíanos tus mejores fotos de viajes con el hashtag Ivan en Manchester. Ahora mismo vía Twitter le damos retweet a las mejores fotos de viaje. Manchester se volvió una de las ciudades más rockers del mundo y vamos a conocer todo sobre la historia de sus bandas junto a una de las personas que mejor conoce sobre la escena musical en Manchester.
My name is Craig Gill. I'm a drummer with Manchester band in Spiral Carpets, and I also run a company called Manchester Music Tours. We're at the south end of the city. This used to be an old industrial area called Knott Mill. It's now been rebranded Deansgate. It's full of lots of posh apartments, but years ago it was full of empty cotton mills, derelict factories, and the music business came into this area in the 70s and 80s and turned them into studios, nightclubs and rehearsal rooms. So this one behind us was a very famous music venue called the Boardwalk. All these empty cotton mills and factories made a great playground for the music business to flourish, and because it was always raining, kids could buy instruments quite cheap and they could form bands, and it was a good way of passing the time and not getting soaking wet. Manchester kids always had access to the best record collections and sounds from all around the world, so that helped us develop some great bands.
The Boardwalk fue un club clave en los años 80 y 90. En él se escuchó por primera vez a Oasis interpretando Rock and Roll Star en el año 1992 ante un público de menos de 20 personas.
Going back to the 60s, Herman's Hermits, Freddie and the Dreamers, the Hollies, the Bee Gees lived in Manchester. One of the Monkees was from Manchester. Then you've got in the 70s, Joy Division, the Smiths, Sad Cafe, the Buzzcocks, The Fall. And then in the 80s, Happy Monday, Stone Roses, my band in Spiral Carpets. And then in the 90s, obviously, Oasis. And we're still producing great bands now like Elbow and the Cortinas. Oasis started basically around this area, and he came up to me in a club around the corner called the Hacienda and introduced himself to me. And then when the band took off, we employed him in our office full time. And then when we went on tour, he got to come away with us. We played at the River Plate Stadium in 1991, supporting Paul Simon. And Noel just loved the place. He loved the football, he loved the atmosphere. He come back off tour, he learnt that his brother had joined the band, and he then got the first gig, and we came down to see them, and we witnessed this gig. And then within 18 months, 2 years, they were playing stadiums. But this is where it all started. All the hard work was done in the cellar here. Just come into Salford. So the city of Salford sits by the side of Manchester as a separate city. It's divided by a big river called the River Irwell. So we're just 10 minutes away from the city centre of Manchester. We've come into Salford. This area, again, has produced lots of great bands. Again, members of Joy Division, Graham Nash and Alan Clark from the Hollies. Morrissey lived about a mile away from here. The Smiths, I'd say they're probably the most influential band from Manchester, and I might go as far as to say possibly the most influential band since the Beatles. Morrissey and his genius songwriting and his lyrics and his words, he was able to touch a lot of people with that.
Este es un lugar muy especial para los fans de The Smiths, ya que aquí se realizó la foto más famosa de esta banda, que se encuentra en el disco The Queen is Dead.
I think The Smiths, what it was a unique blend because Johnny's guitar playing is very uplifting, and the music's very uplifting, and then he kind of juxtaposed with Morrissey's lyrics, which are quite dark. He sang about things that people wouldn't sing about in the 80s. You know, he made albums like Meat is Murder. He wasn't out just to sell records. He was about, this is what I'm about, this is what I'm saying, and that really appealed to people. And what the Smiths did, unlike a lot of bands, they formed some bands and they sing about America when they'd never even been to America. The Smiths always sang about Manchester. It was always about their experiences. What happened to the Smiths? Well, the Smiths were like a bright shining star that kind of burnt out too soon, really. The pressures of being in the music industry and the pressures put upon them were too much. Johnny was only 23. He was only 23 when the band split up. And so he went off playing with other bands, and I think Morrissey possibly didn't like that, and it started some friction between the two, and it escalated, and the press got involved, and they went their separate ways.
Otro de los lugares emblemáticos para la música de Manchester es el puente donde el fotógrafo Kevin Cummings fotografió a la banda Joy Division.
Joy Division came down here in 1979 and did a very iconic photo shoot with a very famous Mancunian photographer called Kevin Cummings, and they stood on the bridge in the freezing cold, in the snow in 1979, as Kevin kind of took the shot and is silhouetted, and the picture was used on the cover of the NME, and it's now been used on the Best of Joy Division, so it's become a very, very iconic photograph. Bernard Sumner and Peter Hook, they started the band, and then they met two guys from Macclesfield. Started off as like a punk band, playing, as I say, these punk venues for factory nights like Tony Wilson, but the sound quickly developed. They met a very good producer called Martin Hannett, who was able to experiment with synthesizers, and he kind of developed them from being a normal punk band into being something that was more kind of new wave or post-punk, and it really set them apart from the other punk bands. The problem was the singer was ill. He was diagnosed with a form of epilepsy, and so he became very depressed by this because the band was taking off. They were just about to fly to America to start their first American tour, and on the eve of that tour, on the night, Ian Curtis took his own life and committed suicide in 1980. The band actually galvanised, and they decided to carry on without their lead singer and carry on under the name of New Order. Actually became world famous. You know, it took them a while to get there, but they're world famous now, and they're still touring the world, and everybody's heard of New Order, but not many people have heard about the Joy Division story.
Y nos vamos a despedir esta nota escuchando un glorioso tema de los 80, Bizarre Love Triangle, del año 1986. New Order con todos ustedes. Queremos compartir algunas de las imágenes de lo que fue el evento gastronómico del año. Me refiero a las 5 cenas del Cellar de Can Roca, el mejor restaurante del mundo que llegó a nuestro país gracias a la plataforma Premium World. Esto es solo un adelanto para que vayas viendo lo que sentimos al disfrutar las creaciones de los hermanos Roca. Fueron más de 12 pasos gastronómicos con 16 vinos argentinos en una noche maravillosa que duró 4 horas. Muy pronto vamos a vivir juntos un capítulo Premium World con lo mejor del Cellar de Can Roca en Buenos Aires. Este verdadero lujo lo vivimos gracias a la plataforma Premium World del BBVA francés. De esta manera, nuestros amigos del BBVA francés se posicionan como la banca top en gastronomía. El Cellar de Can Roca es solo uno de los beneficios de alta gama que te ofrece la plataforma Premium World del BBVA francés, a la que le estamos enormemente agradecidos por permitirnos ser parte de esta experiencia. Ahora vamos a experimentar una de las actividades más divertidas que se puedan realizar aquí en Manchester. Se trata del skydiving.
Hi, Ivan.
Hey, Brat.
You all right?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Welcome to Erkix.
Nice. So,
Yeah.
what's Erkix?
What's Air Kicks? It's an indoor skydiving place for first timers, for pro flyers, skydivers when the weather's bad, when they want to learn new things.
So what we're going to do?
We're going to do the basic body flying position, the belly flying. Okay, we're going to start from the beginning. Fingers crossed you'll fly well.
Yeah, should we go?
Yeah, let's go.
Debo confesar que estaba bastante excitado antes de entrar, pero supe relajarme y disfrutar de la experiencia. Realmente vale la pena.
So how does it work?
There's 4 fans up at the top.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and they push wind down 2 chambers.
Yep.
And then it meets in the middle and shoots it back up. It recirculates.
How strong the fans are?
We can change the wind speed.
Yeah. Up to?
Yeah, so it depends on the size of the person.
How fast this speed can go?
We top it out at 83%, which is 156 miles an hour-ish.
How long does it take just to become a real experienced flyer?
It differs for everyone. If you pick it up quick, 10 minutes-ish, and you can belly fly well. 20 minutes and maybe half an hour you can fly really well on your belly. And then you can move on to back flying.
Yeah.
And then sit flying and then head down flying, which I were doing.
Is it risky to perform tricks?
There's always a slight risk of banging into the wall.
Let's finish to gear up and then let's get into the timber. Should we do that?
Let's go.
Vamos.
Imagínense lo que es, que estás tratando de hacer equilibrio y el instructor, que la tiene muy clara, te hace realizar algo que pensaste que nunca ibas a poder hacer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what you need to work on is
everything.
Yeah, try and keep that body straight.
Yeah.
Okay, the first flight you were twisting your body, and that's what we're causing you to rock. That second flight a lot better. Okay. So we did a bit of that turning. We did a little bit of. Okay. Make sure it's both hands together. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to do this because it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You just remember head down to go up. Yeah. Head up to come back down. Easy. There you go.
It's my certificate. That's
There you go.
fantastic.
No problem, man.
Thanks, Brett. I
Well,
appreciate it. That's
Cool.
awesome, man.
Ahora sí, seguimos conociendo Manchester.
Son las 7 menos 20 de la tarde aquí en la ciudad de Manchester. De a poquito va cayendo el sol en un día bastante lindo para lo que se está acostumbrado tal vez a veces en el norte de Inglaterra, donde los días grises y la lluvia es parte del escenario diario de la ciudad. Por eso muchísima gente viene aquí en los parques y las plazas centrales de la ciudad para tirarse un ratito, disfrutar del sol y prepararse, porque como aquí se come a la noche temprano, para ir a llenar el estómago con algo rico. Propósito ahora, ir a dar unas vueltas y mostrar esto que tiene esta ciudad, que es muy ecléctica, entre construcciones viejas victorianas con modernos edificios. Vamos.
Las antiguas zonas industriales de Manchester se han ido remodelando y han pasado a ser ocupadas por centros culturales, parques o zonas de negocio con edificios muy modernos. El resultado es una curiosa combinación muy ecléctica de lo antiguo y lo moderno.
Esta tal vez sea una de las zonas más lindas que tiene la ciudad de Manchester. Estamos acá en el canal Venice, este famoso canal en la zona de Rochdale que es muy interesante porque este pequeño canal lleva a la ciudad de Liverpool, desemboca en el río Mersey y en el estuario del río Mersey y lógicamente lleva a otra de las ciudades más importantes que tiene el norte de Inglaterra. Este es un lugar muy típico para venir a correr, a caminar, a pasear a tu mascota y sobre todo a disfrutar de un área muy tranquila de la ciudad que se brinda para el pensamiento y para la reflexión. Se viene la gastronomía internacional en Resto del Mundo y para eso le damos la bienvenida a P.F. Chang's. P.F. Chang's, el más cool canchero internacional de los restaurantes de Buenos Aires, que tantas veces nos ha alimentado en New York, Los Ángeles, Boston y Miami, ahora vas a poder probar sus fantásticas recetas de comida asiática también en Buenos Aires. Y como todas las semanas, nos presenta un dato gastronómico imperdible.
Gracias, P.F. Chang's.
Te recuerdo que el Twitter oficial del programa es @Resto del Mundo 13. Seguinos ahora mismo en Twitter y envíanos tus mejores fotos de viajes con el hashtag Iban en Manchester. Ahora mismo vía Twitter le damos retweet a las mejores fotos de viaje. Llegó el momento de relajar y disfrutar de buena música. Para eso elegí Gorilla, el lugar donde las nuevas bandas quieren tener la oportunidad de tocar.
Welcome your band to Gorilla.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
What a great venue.
It's awesome, right? Yeah.
This is so much fun. I mean, Manchester.
I know, man.
One of the, England's cradle of music.
Capital of music. Yeah.
Why
yeah.
capital and not London?
Well, London historically is a very cultural city, but I think in Manchester they kind of invented sort of the DIY ethic and being in music and working together. We had we had New Order, we had Joy Division, you had the Happy Mondays, the Stone Roses, and the Smiths, and all these historical legends that existed from working class background families and making the sounds of the city. Whereas I find that London, the music was never really generated from the sounds of the suburbs.
So that's why on a weekday, these kind of a place is always like this.
Always busy.
Passing with people and just,
Tuesday night, Manchester, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is. Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, there's always something on. There's thousands of people who come to concerts, so many touring bands, it's constant.
So what's really, this Gorilla means to the, Manchester's, music scene?
Well, Gorilla is really important because it's a new venue and it's about 3 years old today, I think. And it's always been a place for new bands to turn up and play.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Every single new band wants to play at Gorilla.
Every new band.
So I kiss goodbye to every little loud pain. Light a cigarette and wish the world away. I got out alive and I'm here to stay.
So who comes to Gorilla?
Well,
what's the type of what's the crowd?
Here? Well, the crowd is everybody, man. We have students, we have mums, we have dads, we have lawyers, we have doctors, we have rock and roll people. We have even here in this bar right now in front of the venue. We'll in the daytime, you can come here and there's a plethora of historical musical legends who are still alive in Manchester. Like you'll have John Robb from the Membranes, a very famous punk rocker from the north. We'll have Bez from the Happy Mondays.
Wow.
We're always here. We have gigs every night. We have great food and bar and good music playing. You know what it's like here. So
are you involved as well into promoting bands? Or
that's
just
what I do. So we're not just about guitars and drums. We're about culture, about expressing music, art, poetry, literature, DJs, everything, man.
So who's playing tonight?
We have one of our favourite up-and-coming English bands who used to be from Manchester called Boxton. Incredible sort of krautrock, English dance-orientated band, a mixture of all cultures together. They're from Manchester, but they live in London. Because, let's face it, London has all the industry, but we have all the quality. So London will borrow the band.
Exporting quality to some other cities in England.
Some other, let the bands go to London. They always come back to Manchester. So
cheers to that.
No worries, man. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you, man.
Llegó el momento de ir a dormir ya que mañana queda mucho más Manchester por conocer.
Encontrá todo lo que necesitas para tu casa en rivero.com.ar. Aprovecha las cuotas sin interés con las tarjetas de todos los bancos o llévalo con el crédito personal inmediato hasta en 24 minicuotas. Y acordate que el envío es gratis para Ciudad Autónoma de Buenos Aires y Gran Buenos Aires.
Mirá la oferta de hoy.
Minicuotas Ribeiro te ofrece Smart TV Curvo Samsung 48 pulgadas a 20.999 pesos. En 12 cuotas sin interés de 1.749 pesos con 92 con tarjetas de crédito de todos los bancos. Minicuotas Ribeiro. Primero la gente.
Nuevo día en Manchester y me desperté en el hotel que elegí para quedarme durante mi estadía en esta ciudad. The Lorry es un hotel excelente. La cama una de las más cómodas en las que he dormido. Y la comida del desayuno, alucinante.
silence of your grief, you swallow down with booze.
Aunque no estoy acostumbrado a salirme del tradicional desayuno de café con tostadas, no pude resistirme y probé cosas diferentes. Una manera distinta de comenzar el día aquí en Manchester.
Un anticipo, este es el Duster Oroch de Renault. Míralo. Mucho se va a hablar sobre esta moderna, deportiva y audaz pick-up compacta. Posee 4 puertas, 5 plazas y la habitabilidad de una doble cabina. Duster Oroch de Renault, el primer Sport Utility Pickup.
Renault Argentina.
Vamos a ir a conocer el Museo de Manchester, un museo de historia natural lleno de cosas interesantísimas, desde restos fósiles de millones de años hasta los más claros ejemplos de la taxidermia, sí, animales disecados, entre otras maravillas.
Hey Dan.
Hi Ivan, welcome to Manchester Museum.
Thank you very much. When was the museum first opened?
So the museum first opened in 1885.
Wow.
And it was a group of gentlemen with similar interests and had their own private collections start to bring them together.
How big actually the collection is?
So the collection we have here at Manchester Museum, we have around 4.5 million objects. Well, we have huge stores underneath the building where we house our objects in different boxes.
So you're changing the exhibits all the time?
Yeah, I mean, depending on what's popular, sometimes the curator might just see an object he really wants to get out, and he'll just swap some of the objects around.
So what do we have here? That's amazing.
So this is Stan. He's
Stan.
Stan the T-Rex.
Okay,
so
why
he's
Stan?
Named after Stan Sacrison, who's the man who discovered him.
Okay, perfect. Whereabouts?
In Hell's Creek in America.
Wow.
It's one of the most complete dinosaurs ever found.
I heard that you guys have something that goes back 300 million years in time.
We do, yes, we definitely
do. Can we go
do.
see it?
Of course we can, yeah, let's go.
Este es un lugar muy interesante para conocer la flora y la fauna de esta zona del norte de Inglaterra a lo largo de los siglos.
So this is it, Dan. 300 million years old.
That's right, yeah, this is a...
So where was this found?
So this was found in Lancashire, just outside Manchester.
Lancashire?
Yeah, and it's a small, like, copseid tree.
What do you mean small?
So, I mean, in the period when this was found 300 years ago, there was humongous trees, and they had to chop it into small pieces because they couldn't fit it in.
Oh yeah, that's why. Ah, okay. Where are we going next, Dan?
Where would you like to go? What kind of things do you like to see?
Egypt?
Egypt sounds good to me.
Perfect, let's go. This is quite amazing. What do we have here?
So this is a coffin of a mummy called Asru.
Who was Asru?
Asru, we're not entirely sure who she was, but this is one of the most famous mummies we've got in the collection. It's an absolutely beautiful example.
You can tell that she was someone important by, of course,
the coffin.
It's just very ceremonial.
Very much so. It does imply...
All the drawings, all the hieroglyphics, and everything is just...
It's beautiful, yeah. Yeah, you'd have to be important to have a coffin like this.
Dan, thank you so much for showing me
No
around,
problem
man.
at all, it's been a pleasure.
Wow, let's keep walking.
Gracias a la aplicación de despegar.com, con un solo clic localicé los hoteles más cercanos con disponibilidad para esta misma noche y al mejor precio. Bájala gratis a tu celular o tablet, esté donde estés, y disfruta de las ofertas de despegar.com.
Despegar.com, donde viajar es posible.
Compra tu hotel en Despegar al mejor precio. Hotel en Madrid por solo 18 cuotas sin interés de 39 pesos. Solo en Despegar.com. Despegar.com. El mejor precio para tu viaje.
Ya estamos de vuelta con el segundo bloque de Resto del Mundo desde Manchester, en Inglaterra. Llegó el momento de conocer una de las tiendas más visitadas por los aficionados a la sustentabilidad. Se trata de una tienda donde reciclan telas para hacer nuevas prendas.
Hi, Emma. Hi, nice to meet you. Welcome to Junk Shop. We specialise in vintage and sort of upcycling and recycling. Okay, they're like the main things of the shop. So we've got sort of things from vintage fabrics, we've got tablecloths that have been turned into tops, saris that have been turned into crop tops. this section is mostly one of our collections called Made in the Mill. We try and use as many vintage fabrics as we sort of can. And then we use old tablecloths.
Tablecloths as well?
Yeah, we use tablecloths, curtains. We don't throw away anything. If something doesn't sell, we'll turn it into something else. If the dress doesn't sell, we'll turn it into a crop top. If that doesn't sell, we'll turn it into a bralette. We never throw anything away, ever.
So, what about prices?
Prices, we try and keep it down as low as possible because we want people to be able to afford our clothes. We have currently started doing these T-shirts that are made from organic cotton, and then we hand screen print them. They retail at just over £20. The jewellery is our own kind of range. So it's called Lunar Jewellery, and we design most of it ourselves. We've got the Manchester bee, because Manchester's obviously famous for the bee, so we got that one. That sells really well.
Acá no solo se puede comprar ropa vintage, además hay cursos para que confecciones tus propios modelos.
This is our sewing studio.
Nice.
It's where the magic happens. We try and get about 7 or 8 people in a class, depending on which class it is. If it's a more technical one, less people. These are sort of these samples of all the different dresses that we make in the class.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we try and cater for everyone because obviously things are expensive now. If people can make their own things, like they used to in the war, in the 1950s, and nothing got wasted, everything would get turned into something else. So we're trying to sort of bring that back and make people more aware of not throwing things away.
That's very nice. Thank you so much, Emma.
No problem.
Ahora nos tenemos que ir a un breve corte, pero no te vayas que en el próximo bloque vamos a vivir una verdadera experiencia inglesa. No te vayas, último corte. Ya estamos de vuelta con un nuevo bloque de Resto del Mundo desde Manchester, en Inglaterra. Y voy a reencontrarme con John para ir a un clásico pub de Manchester y disfrutar de un típico after office británico.
Cheers. Cheers, Chuck. Thank you so much. Well,
From the bottom all the way back up again.
This is good. So basically, this is all that real Mancunian people do after a long day of working.
Work hard and play hard.
Yeah. So what really the pubs means to Mancunian or English society?
All different. All pubs are different. So each pub has its own different character and its own different times of the day and times of the night. Well, as you can see as you look around, generally people come to socialise after work, meet the friends, meet the family. Well, it's very interesting, the pub culture, isn't it? Because it's unique.
Really is.
It's unique to England, isn't it? And Britain, it's unique.
Yeah. Especially because it's the attitude.
And also the protocol and what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
There's a protocol involved in pub.
Yeah.
In what sense?
Being polite and respectful to the bar staff.
Yeah.
And also be polite and respectful to the people who are in the pub as well. Because you never know who people are. We're all equal, aren't we, behind this side of the bar. So I like the pub culture.
En el Reino Unido existen aproximadamente 60.000 pubs, habiendo al menos uno en casi todas las localidades. En ellos se venden casi 6 millones de litros de cerveza al año, lo que supone una media de 177 pintas por persona.
And that is something quite, amazing in a way about England, because of course, when you're commuting from city to city, and of course you have all this schedule, and everything when it comes to public transportation is really sharp. When it says that the train is going to leave the station at 7, it leaves the station at 7. So that means that if I have 20 minutes and I'm passing by and I know that John is having a pint, I have the perfect time for a pint because I know that the train's going to be at 7.
Yeah. I've got to go with Van because...
Yeah. That's fantastic. And that really works. And pubs were kind of like, in a way, hotels as well, on the upper floors of a building.
Yeah.
So you have the locals, and then someone who's passing by the city for one day could...
As you've seen as you've been going down Manchester, there's a lot of building work going on, isn't there? So a lot of the contractors who come to do the building work will stay in a pub, and the pub will supply
the food,
beer and bed. So they've got everything all under one roof, haven't they?
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So at 10 o'clock, I'm going to bed and go upstairs.
That's great. Cheers. Thank you so much for everything, Joe. Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Lamentablemente nos quedamos sin tiempo por hoy. Nos vemos la semana que viene con un nuevo especial de Resto del Mundo en su 12ª temporada. No te lo pierdas, el próximo domingo, aquí, por la pantalla del 13. Que tengan una muy buena semana.
You got me brainwashed.